Humanity has been a miserable little band of thugs, stumbling from one catastrophe to the next. Our history is like the ravings of a lunatic.
Hey there, welcome to Screen Crush. I'm Ryan Airy. Westworld Season 3, Episode 2 is filled with Easter eggs, references, and hidden symbolism that I am happy to break down for you right now. Let's start with the title, The Winter Line. Now this actually appears on the map that Hector is trying to smuggle out of this city. The Winter Line in World War II was a series of 3 German lines of fortification in western Italy to prevent Allied invasion. It was called the Winter Line because it was designed to hold the Allied troops through the winter of 1943 and 44. In this episode, it has a few meanings. The Warworld segments are set in the Republic of Saulo, an Italian puppet government controlled by Germany, which included the Winter Line. But also it refers to the defenses the characters are trying to breach. Maeve is trying to crack the simulation and escape from this compound, while Bernard is trying to breach the defenses in his own mind, to determine if he's being controlled by Dolores. So each of these characters are searching for some form of escape and control, and each of them were originally manipulated by Ford and now are creating their own paths. Just like in the first episode where Dolores and Caleb's stories paralleled one another, now Bernard and Maeve are on similar paths. They each team up with a former Westworld staff member to achieve their goals. And both stories in this episode are about someone recruiting Maeve to fight against Dolores. Hector returns, and it takes both Maeve and the audience a while to work out that he's still in a loop. As they're escaping, a version of the Westworld theme plays, a big hint that all of this is part of a storyline. Even though Hector is now a war hero instead of an outlaw, Maeve recognizes that this story is just another empty loop.
Give them the plans. They're as empty as the safe you used to chase.
She even repeats a variation of this line.
And that none of this matters. None of it matters. Because none of it is real.
So what do you guys think of Warworld? At first I thought, oh, this is awesome, you get to kill Nazis. But then I realized that a lot of park guests would actually want to go black hat and join the Nazis. It's messed up. In this episode, we also see this Divergent Screen from Episode 1. This is the visualization of Rehoboam's algorithm, charting a path for every human on Earth. So far, every divergence has been caused by someone who is not part of the system. Caleb doesn't have an implant. Bernard and Dolores divert implanted humans away from their assigned roles. Later in Sirach's home, we see a painting of this visualization. And, by the way, it's appropriate that the computer that designs loops for humans is visualized as a giant loop. When Bernard lands, he comes to the original village from Season 1, which has now been burned. This could be because of the California wildfires that halted this season's production. It also made sense to me that he would come to this village first, meaning it's near the shore. This is where they beta tested the park and where they hosted the Delos board, so it makes sense that it wouldn't be too deep within the park's boundaries. Bernard meets Stubbs, who we found out was a host at the end of last season.
What do I know? Yes, I just stick to the role Ford gave me.
It's interesting that unlike most hosts, he's fully aware of what he is and his parameters. Bernard takes a long look at Teresa's bloodstain on the wall because this moment haunts him. It's when he, and the audience, realize that he didn't have control of his actions. Ever since then, his entire arc has been about asserting control over himself.
That voice guiding me was mine all along.
Now Maeve puts it together pretty quickly that she's in a simulation and starts working out ways to overload the system. If you're a Rick and Morty fan, this might remind you of the episode M. Night Shyamalan's.
Walk in a circle the same number of times as the square root of your h times 10!
They did a clever thing here when she realizes it's a simulation. The aspect ratio changes to anamorphic. This is also how they showed the various virtual simulations in Season 2. Maeve overloads the simulation by asking the workers the square root of -1.
If 1 equals I times I,
which is the same as the square root of -1 times the square root of -1, right?
and -1 times -1 should be equal to.
Now the answer is an imaginary number, a kind of mathematical shorthand used for solving theoretical equations. It makes sense that a simulation wouldn't be able to understand anything besides ordinary math. I would love to explain imaginary numbers to you in more detail, but I don't really understand them. Also, here's a small detail, the photo of Winston Churchill in Lee's office. No doubt to give him inspiration while writing for Warworld. Back to Bernard and Stubbs, who venture underneath Park 4, Medieval World. This loop player is picking out the Westworld theme. And, of course, we get this cute little nod to Game of Thrones when Drogon appears. Hey, Bran! Bran, he's here! We found him! He's right here! The two techs working on the dragon are Dan and Dave, the showrunners of Game of Thrones. And they throw away this line of dialogue.
Got a buyer.
What?
Some startup in Costa Rica.
This island near Costa Rica could be Isla Nublar, the home of Jurassic Park and World. Both Jurassic Park and Westworld were created by Michael Crichton, so this is a very cool tribute to him. Bernard performs a self-diagnostic with a clean tablet that he knows Dolores didn't program him to tamper with. There are several reveals from his visions. We see Arnold waking up Dolores, meaning that he has some of Arnold's memories. He also relives past moments like when he stomped on the head of a Delos Tech in Season 2, and we see Dolores as Charlotte preparing to smuggle out Cortexes and sending away all of the forged data. The key part of these flashes is Dolores reading the guest psych profiles. Some of them are accompanied with a Delos logo, maybe indicating that they're an employee, while this volume has an IP address. This one, John Gallagher, could be a tribute to the actor who plays Liam, John Gallagher Jr. Notice that the information in his book is encoded like the lines of a player piano. Player pianos have been used as a metaphor for robots and AI ever since Kurt Vonnegut published his novel of the same name. It's a way to symbolize a machine obeying a human's commands without a human being being present. And this is why a player piano has always appeared in the opening credits of Westworld. Back to Maeve, who succeeded in overloading the system and freezing everything Windows 98 style. Fun tidbit from the making of, these are real actors frozen on poles that they digitally scrubbed out afterwards. Her attempted escape from the compound is mostly filmed like a first-person shooter video game. Now that's appropriate, since the parks are basically open-world games with side quests and story missions. When the hosts are cleaned and reset, it's like they've been given an extra life. The episode ends with her pivotal introduction to Ingharad Sirach, probably the new villain for the season. I say probably because both he and Maeve are dressed in white, while Dolores mostly wore black in the first episode. In the Westworld park, guests were given a choice to go black hat or white hat, bad guy or good guy. So they're visually telling us that these characters are going to oppose each other. Sirach's name also gives us a hint that he could be a hero. His surname is a German variation of angel, and in the Bible, most angels are messengers of God. In this case, the god is Rehoboam, and he is serving its will. His first name, Sirach, means the pinnacle of a glacier. In this case, the glacier is Rehoboam, the unstoppable force that slowly reshapes the planet. And Sirach is the face of this glacier, the front-facing peak that faces the world head-on.
For the first time, history has an author.
Something else I was thinking about. If Rehoboam is controlling all of humanity, no wonder Ford has so little faith in our species.
It means that we are done. That this is as good as we're gonna get.
He saw that we were willing to give ourselves over to a machine just for convenience. So then he thought, why not just let the machines take over full stop? Maeve calls Sirach an oracle, and then he says something very important.
An oracle would merely predict the future. Our work is to create it.
Now, going back to mythology, oracles and angels interpret the will of the gods. But now, humanity has a god. History has an author. Opposing this god is Dolores, the devil whose name means suffering, who rose from this hell to wage war on Earth. Now, Maeve faces a choice to help him or not. He can control her because this is a new body that he built to certain specifications. But I think that she'll join him willingly because there's a chance she could get to rejoin her daughter. But what do you guys think? If it's Dolores versus Maeve, who do you want to win? Me, I'm Team Dolores.
Burn them all! I'm gonna burn this mother down!
Come on, Boogie, let's burn this motherfucker down!
Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and if it's your first time here, please subscribe. For Screen Crush, I'm Ryan Airy.